Hello everyone, and welcome back to finally another Steel Division 2 DLC preview, as we have Man of Steel coming up in the near future. 8 new divisions coming up here, and we're gonna cover 2 of these each week, so 4 weeks in general, as we don't have a release date just yet, so we're gonna keep up the hype a bit, gonna go through 2 of them each week, and we start with the first Airborne Task Force here, which is one of the 8 divisions. They are all spread out all over Europe. We have some Finnish, we have some Bulgarians, and yeah, here we have some Canadian, Americans, and some British and French as well. This really a multinational force, and a pretty cool one at that. So let's have a look at what First Airborne Task Force has to offer. As you can see, a lot of air, a lot of infantry, a lot of recon, not so many tanks, not so much AA, as per usual for Airborne behind the lines forces. And yeah, let's have a look here. As we start with the recon tab, where we have some FFI sidecars, not the greatest kind of thing. MG34, the BMW, no radio on this one, so it's not that great. The Jeep with the 50 cal gets you radio for the same price and gets you a 50 cal, so if you want to have anything like that, take the Jeep. You don't even get better availability on the sidecar. Then Scouts with Brand's 5-man squad. Decent-ish. It has an anti-tank grenade at least. If it would have appeared, this would be a fantastic squadron. But yeah, this way it's only mediocre. AB Scouts over here, the American version, already a good bit better. Has smoke, has a sniper rifle, 20 points. That is quite nice. Both have Willys or Jeep transports, so that is quite fantastic as well. You get a lot of those guys around in this division at the moment. That obviously all might still be subject to change, as everything in this still might be. And yeah, let's have a look on the next unit. FFI Suppers, we already know. Tractions back here as well. You get them in A phase, so that could be really, really scary. Yeah, every division that has FFI tractions in A phase has really big advantage over other formations like it. So these guys here for sure can bring some pain. Pathfinders coming around as well, having the Gammon Bomb, having Garrett's, Thompson's, Carbines, another 20-point units have one more hit point than the AB Scouts, but they also don't have the Bren. So yeah, and they have less availability as well. I don't really see a point using these guys. They would have one more different kind of weapon that would be nice, but obviously they're limited in the weapon slots. They already use all 4. And yeah, this weapon loadout, sadly, not that great. If they would come maybe with free 2-star veterancy, that would be nicer. They look pretty cool in their uniforms though. Scouts, yeah, 20 points for these guys. You get them in decent availability, but obviously against the other 20-point options, they're pretty redundant here. AB Sniper, 25 points when you can have AB Scouts over here currently for cheaper with a sniper rifle as well. Doesn't really make sense either, especially as these guys come with smoke. You only get one card, I guess, but even then, afterwards, taking the AB Sniper, I don't really see happening either. Pathfinders, the British version, you might take instead, because those are 10 men. Those have Willy Pete's as well. So they are actually somewhat decent, 25 points here. And then you get the Forceman Scout, which is another sniper unit, 30 points here, but 7 men, and another Willy Pete, and the first unit here with the Commando, which is a pretty good stats buff. So that is quite nice Commando trait here around for the first time. We will see this in this division, obviously, quite a bit more. A couple of the other new traits coming up as well. M8 here, pretty decent in the B phase as a nice light armored unit to come in. Obviously in A phase, it's way more important if you can get that there. It can do a lot. In B phase, M8's often not super helpful, but it still can be nice in a division where you otherwise don't have too much armor lying around. Infantry, obviously, is super massive strength of this deck. Starting with more traction infantry, the command FFI, we already know from the Dunkirk DLC and from the Czechoslovaks over there, as this thing can come in traction. They have an MG, so they can come up nicely to the front line. Can be pretty helpful over there. Pretty cool uniforms here as well. So yeah, another traction unit, really helping with the starts. Then Airborne Assault Group with 25 points, a bar, and 12 hit points and the shock trait, making them stronger in CQC. Obviously, yeah, all the shock abilities still, yeah, the description still being written, but the shock units stronger in CQC, which helps these guys quite nicely because they have submachine guns and automatic rifles, so they are actually really good in CQC. And the tank grenade here with the Willipede also quite nice. The demolition group coming in with TNT and carbines and smoke. Smoke plus TNT, really nice combo. You only get 3 of them in A phase though, on 3-star veterancy. Over here you can choose, and you even get 4 on 2-star veterancy. So these guys here are a bit more limited. But carbine and grease guns give you decent firepower. And with the carbine, you even have decent firepower on the mid-range for 25 points. This is actually quite a nice unit, and for sure pretty scary in the CQC. Airborne Engineers, a nice TNT leader. TNT leader is always pretty cool. And yeah, nice goggles here as well. These guys, for sure, pretty helpful here. And pretty nice skins as well. Airborne Engineers for the British. TNT on the 10 hit point unit. Obviously, comparison to the demolition group, they ain't as good, but they have more availability on 1-star veterancy, and even on 2-star veterancy they have 1 more availability. So the Airborne Engineers, as they also can come and be here, another option there. With the American Airborne Engineers coming with a flamethrower. Once more, I don't like that they are called the same. We had a similar issue with the rifles back in the day, in similar divisions where they come stacked, where you then, as the opponent, can't quite see which one is which, but at least here you have the icons with the flamer, as this one comes with a flamethrower, 11-man squadron with a flamethrower, shock, and so on, is quite nice. The British engineers not getting shock is a major disadvantage there as well. And these guys come actually with great availability in A phase. B phase, not so well, but still okay. Airborne leaders here, the British, coming with decent availability as well. The radio at least, and an anti-tank grenade. Outside of that, for 25 points, only mediocre, but they are here. American leader, a good bit better on lower veterancy, or the same availability. On same veterancy, they are lower, but they have a smoke. They have 5 hit points. And yeah, the 5 hit points are nice. Rifle loadouts here also decent, but obviously you don't want to fight with them. So that is not of major importance. Airborne powers with the PRs. Those obviously helpful, as outside of that we don't have any AT just yet. But you get the airborne rifles with the Americans, which get a bazooka. So you have a bazooka option there as well. Gets a Browning, which is a light machine gun. So the automatic rifles, they're helping out more in CQC, but Thompsons and Grants already give the airborne rifles, the American one, a decent amount of firepower in CQC, whilst the Lee Enfield and the Sten obviously not so great there. And with 2 more availability on the airborne rifles, I feel like the airborne powers here not quite on par, as the availability on both is the same. And you get a lot of cards on the airborne rifles, so the airborne para Piat, don't think we're gonna see them too much with the current state of things, with the airborne rifles here being a pretty good squad for 12 points. With a bazooka, 25 points here. Quite decent. Chasseur Power, French version here, with pretty similar loadout. Difference in CQC firepower, but no bazooka. So that is a bit of an issue. Outside of that, same availability as well. So you can take them on lowest veterancy, which is an interesting option, and can make them a bit more spammable here. But outside of that, I still feel like the airborne rifles are the superior unit here. And then glider rifles, which have the same loadout and can come with lower veterancy. Outside of that, they are pretty much the same as the airborne rifles, which is interesting to just have the Raider and Tank Buster trait changed out, and they changed 1 Thompson for Grand. So pretty similar unit here. If you want to have lower veterancy, or if you want to have a bit more firepower in the mid-range, but a little bit less on CQC, then they are your option here as well. The British Airborne Para, really interesting unit here, with the sniper rifle. That is obviously quite a nice unit. 10 hit points, sniper rifle, Bren. Obviously quite a strong unit here in that regard, but 30 points, also quite expensive. Though the sniper rifle for sure helps out. And then we have another pretty cool unit for the Canadians. the Canadians here coming in with Forceman and a new weapon, the M40 1941 Johnson, which is pretty close to the FSG. It has 600 meters, and yeah, it's basically kind of the same stats as the Fallschirmjäger Gewehr 42. And TNT coming in here as well. M1 Garand Thompsons, 30 points, obviously quite expensive. They are Commando. They don't have Raider or Shock, but Commando, pretty strong trade here as well. And for 30 points, you get quite a couple of them as well on the 2 cards. 6, 12, 18, not that bad. Decent availability even on MaxVat, though obviously only a classic kind of availability there. But TNT here, really good. Johnson's here, pretty strong as well. Obviously not quite the same as Fallschirmjägers also on the long range, as they only have the Johnsons there, but on CQC, they will shred with these things attached to all of this, and the mid-range firepower is pretty fantastic as well. So for 30-point units, this one is for sure a great one. So infantry depth in general, with some great bazooka units, some cool CQC units all around, good TNT. Quite nice. Rifle leader here in the end. Always pretty cool as well. Sniper and bazooka, good hit points, and radio. Always an interesting option. Only comes in C-phase though, and obviously is also quite pricey, so not sure if you're gonna see this much, but it is an option that you can take potentially as well here. Then tank tap. We get some M1, some Shermans, and 4 A1s here, with only 90 frontal armor. The A1 always a bit weak, but it's still a Sherman with better aim time, has the 50 cal, has the Browning, so CQC firepower against infantry, still fantastic. You just want to be careful with what kind of tanks you face. M5 Stewart can be decentish as well. The rate of fire, always a weakness in comparison to other light tanks of this thing. The 3 Brownings though are quite nice, helping out against infantry. But yeah, the M6 here, always gonna be a weakness of this little boy in comparison to the other small ones. And then support, you have some okay options as well. Good couple of MGs. You have the classic Airborne Jeeps with 420 points. You get half of the normal supply truck, but that is actually quite nice because you get the same supply per card basically. You get 2000 in A and then 4000 in B. Yeah, you get 20,000 and then 40,000, and with that you can actually spread them out more than in normal supply trucks and can buy them in smaller quantities. Don't have to spend 40 points on each, so that is quite nice here. I would always prefer these guys over a normal supply truck in A and B phase. And then M4 105s in B and C phase, pretty nice support here. All the MG options here, all quite nice. No special transport here, but yeah, you get the Willies, which is nice. And then the M1A1 pack with 75mm here is a pretty decent support gun as well. Only 1,500 meters though, and on the heat shell and on the HE shell, so you can't quite kill enemy on 2,000 meter range. It's not a super insane support weapon here, but for 35 points, it does its job somewhat okay. Obviously comparable to the IG-18 here. And yeah, the heat shell also kind of similar there. Not the greatest rate of fire, obviously pretty bad accuracy, and only 8 damage, which is a major weakness always of those smaller heat shells. But it does penetrate 90mm of armor, which can be quite nice. So yeah, leaders here, Airborne Jeep, Airborne Commander, and an M6, M20. Nothing fantastic there either, but decent option here. Anti-tank, you get a lot of 6-pounders and M1 guns, 57mm here, all around. And that is kind of it for the anti-tank gun part, but the M10 A1s are quite nice. They are American one as well. They only come in B and C phase, but being American means that they get the APCR shell. They pay a decent price for that as well, and with only 2 shells nowadays, you need to keep supply trucks close to it. With the Jeeps, that is somewhat doable though, and then the 2,000 meter range on these guys is quite nice, so you have some capability here. Obviously the Nisei, the AB, and the 6-pounder here, all interesting option here. These kinda are mostly cosmetic, with the British though having APCR, and actually this thing having heat shell, HE shells, so actually it's a bit more than that in that case. with the Nisei one not having APCR shells. So actually decent-ish choices here between all three of them. And yeah, the Bazooka and the Piat, you always want to get either one of these. With the Piat being really cheap nowadays, but obviously the Bazooka being way more reliable. So I kind of would tend towards the Bazooka. With some nice real line action, though only for the real line action is what you want to use them for, as you have enough other bazookas in this deck already. Bofors, Citrons, and M16s. M16s got fixed, and Hotchkisses also, like all of these, MG do suppression again, which is fantastic news, because this means that you have actually 3 choices here to make. And with these guys actually being able to force planes back, killing power still not super insane, but for sure they do quite a nice job again, and that is fantastic to see, as they were absolutely terrible in the last couple of patches, whilst they were a bit OP beforehand, so they had to be nerfed, and then Eugen didn't really find a way around that. I still find it a bit sad that they still didn't fully split them between infantry, ground support, and AA. I feel like they still will always overperform in either of these if they are decent in the other. So that's always a bit of a problem. But we're going to see how they come around here. Strike Team for sure did a lot of work on getting them better, and they should be in a pretty decent spot now. So yeah, let's see where they come around in the end. Artillery, Airborne spotters coming around in nice numbers. Airborne mortar, 60mm, always helpful here. Yeah, spotters in 2 options. You want to go for the American, as they have Thompsons. Obviously not super important, but the Thompsons, at least if you run into a weak squad, you might end up killing them. With the stand, that's not gonna happen ever. Artillery Commander got the new trait here, the Artillery Leader trait, which boosts rate of fire and accuracy of artillery around it, so that is pretty cool. Yeah, and you have a good couple of options down here, but mostly mortars. Only real artillery piece here is the Howitzer, 75mm, has a radio at least. 81mm mortars and 107mm mortars also radio mortars, so pretty good mortars there as well. And that means that in the early game, you really have good fire support here, and really cheap. 6mm mortar is usable, and all of these units down here usable as well. In the late game, obviously, you're not gonna win the long fight in an artillery battle, but early on, you have fantastic support for your infantry, and as long as you keep your mortars moving, I guess, you can keep them alive for quite nice while as well. Air tap, a good couple of options here. The B-26 Marauder Strafer, not great. The Browning's not really good enough for strafing down anything on the ground. Availability also pretty mediocre. F5 here is having a radio. It's really fast, the fastest recon plane in the game. That is quite nice, but the Seafire option is really true as well, as this one gives you nice firepower. Also, lovely looking plane, and recon plane with firepower is always good to see. Mitchell bombers here, only having 45kg bombs, so that one not the best option in my eyes, but you get 2 of them at least in A phase. Seafire here, pretty good fighter, though you pay a lot extra, and it's actually slower than the Seafire for the extra ammunition. The extra ammunition is big, and the Seafire recon often struggles to get kills on bombers, and even against fighters it sometimes doesn't do the job. But obviously that's a lot of extra money for those extra bullets here on the Seafire. Extra availability here obviously the availability is fantastic on the Seafire. Over here, P-51, always a bit too fast for its firepower. Can't really recommend this fighter. Hellfire on the other side has just the right speed for its firepower. But I actually kind of would tend towards the Seafire. Same availability. It's slightly faster. It has 20mm. So, yeah. And it costs 10 points less. So, Seafire kind of it is. But if you want to have 2 kinds of fighters, Hellcat is there for you as well. Both fighters in 2 rocket options. That's quite nice as well. And then the P-51 fighter bombers here, always nice as well. Bad resilience, but they are really, really fast. Especially this one here. 227kg bombs with 610 kmh. That is just top speed. Availability, obviously, always a bit lacking here. Until you get them in C phase, where you can just darken the sky with them. But in A and B phase, it has the same as the 455 kilogram bomb. So this is a nice option as well. And then defenses, yeah, you are airborne. You don't get much here. At least you get some M1 guns though. But a really, really good division when it comes to the infantry. Obviously, tanks, you are a bit hamstrung, but you're not completely defenseless there. Anti-tank guns, yeah, the options here, M1 guns in different flavors. But at least you get them there in different flavors. AA, as I said, with the M16 now being better is quite nice. Artillery, all about the mortars, all about the cheap fire support. So it is in 1v1 gonna be a bit more of an aggressive deck. You really want to push that infantry push forward and keep that ground for long enough. And the air trap, not the most amazing ever, but it can do everything you need it to do. And you obviously have the cards for doing so. So that is quite nice as well. So yeah, first Airborne Task Force, quite a nice deck. And yeah, let me know down below which deck you want to see next, guys. And yeah, how hyped are you for Men of Steel? I am pretty hyped here. I'm also looking forward to future tournaments. Obviously, League Season 11 will come around eventually. We have plans for it. Don't you worry, guys. Steel Division 2 is still on our minds. And I'm really looking forward to getting up to play all of this here. See you next time, guys. And have a great day. Bye-bye.